There's no two ways about it, Booker T is a pro wrestling legend, a hero, and a worthy Hall of Famer. His record speaks for itself, and he has left us with countless moments that will make you feel all warm and fuzzy inside because they were so damn entertaining. He smashed WCW and then did the unthinkable and found his niche in WWE too, even though so many others fell by the wayside. Unfortunately, he had such a long career, that means there's certain things we remember that surely WWE would like us to forget. And you know what I'm talking about. Those times when things didn't exactly go according to plan, or the plan was just utterly stupid to begin with. It happens to the best of them, hence why I'm Simon from What Culture, and this is 10 things WWE wants you to forget about Booker T. But before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to stay notified. Ding, ding, done. Number 10, the social media backlash to his commentary. So this is a tough one for me because I actually don't mind Booker T on commentary. I think he's alright, and he says so many things which sound like they're actually coming from his own mind, not somebody else on a headset, that he has a sense of realism to him. That's a pleasant change from what we sometimes get, and Booker is unique. It's good too. You can't please everyone though, and for some reason Twitter loves to give Booker a hard time when he does commentary, bashing him for not being that good at it at all. And yeah, as I mentioned, there's the odd strange joke interrupting his co-workers or laughing at things he probably shouldn't laugh at, but that's kind of why I like it. He's Booker T, not a manufactured beast. Even with this, WWE has kept putting him behind the booth since his company returned in 2011, and every time they do, the book polarizes audiences to say the least. Because of that, if you could forget this ever happened, Vince and his friends would probably be pretty pleased. Number 9, the time he felt abandoned by WWE. During a Spike TV conference call in 2007, Booker T slammed the fact he was named on the Signature Pharmacy scandal list and refused claims he'd used the service to obtain performance-enhancing drugs. Then Booker expressed his disappointment that WWE hadn't backed him up and instead released him from his contract. And kind of understand why that would upset him. In a later interview with Slam Wrestling, Booker also said the company didn't step up when he needed them the most, and again reiterated his feelings that WWE had made a mistake by jumping to conclusions. Booker believed his service deserved more loyalty. Today, Booker is rarely asked about this in interviews, and his relationship with the promotion is very much positive in 2018, but that wasn't always the case. Number 8, TNA rekindled his main event status. Before Booker left WWE in 2007, his career was already taking a slight downward turn. He was used to facilitate Triple H's return from injury at SummerSlam, was pretty much squashed by the game, and then cycled out of the world title picture on SmackDown after being drafted to Raw. TNA, probably much to the annoyance of WWE, offered Booker another chance as a headline star. Immediately, he was treated like a big deal after debuting at the Genesis pay-per-view to partner Sting against Kurt Angle and Kevin Nash. From here, Booker would become part of the main event Mafia group, and he looked to be enjoying his run. He was working with friends, helping TNA's youth like Samoa Joe and AJ Styles, and all in all, it seemed like a great role for a great man. There is a chance WWE may someday show some footage from Booker's TNA run, like they did during the recent 24 special on the Hardy Boys, but they're unlikely to acknowledge the fact that Impact gave Booker a second wind, mostly because really, WWE didn't see it themselves back in the day. Number 7, he was a WCW star first. It's hard to think that anyone would forget that Booker T made his name in WCW, but there's no way WWE would want that to be your first thought if they had the choice. This is even more true when in the past they've claimed that Bill Goldberg was the only top name created in Atlanta. And that's nonsense because they were responsible for Disco Inferno too. And he was awesome. Yep. Years before Vince McMahon decided that Booker would make a fine world champion though, WCW were pining their hopes on him as a main event star. Granted, it did take World Championship Wrestling's creative team years to realise what they had, but they still got there first. Booker was also a loyal soldier who smashed it at every level, tag team, mid-card, and eventually the top babyface there was. Don't be fooled into thinking he only got there because WCW was going down the tubes by the summer of 2000 either. This was the right move, no doubt, and he earned it. Number 6, his WWE debut. Buff Bagwell is the man who has shouldered all the blame for the controversial match that happened on the 2nd of July 2001 episode of Raw, where for the first time WCW invaded WWE. It was on this night Vince McMahon changed all his plans for World Championship Wrestling, including altering an entire travel schedule. However, as wrestling takes two to tango, we have to remember that Booker was part of the match too. Also, as we're here, the bout actually wasn't that bad. Though it wasn't as crisp as some brawling main events WWF fans had grown used to, Booker vs. Bagwell was boned because it had to be WrestleMania quality to get over with a crowd who had been told for years WCW was rubbish. It also didn't help that both were presented as bad guys from the other company, which just wound fans up even more. Whenever WWE brings up the match now, it's only Buff that gets a slap on the wrist as Booker is spared the same treatment. Really, both should be given a pass all things considered, but that's the lay of the land. Number 5 is Feud over shampoo. This one is still nuts today. It's as if WWE's creative team all stopped working one day and then had to come up with an idea in seconds or they were all going to explode. But yeah, even though WrestleMania 18 was Booker T's first appearance on a WrestleMania and he'd been taking on the equally talented Edge, the reason for their bad blood was because they both wanted to be in a Japanese shampoo commercial. Right. One fan said it best by proudly waving a sign opposite the hard cam that read, "They are fighting over shampoo," and that summed it all up. This was a fight over hair products on a card where Hulk Hogan and The Rock were also scrapping over who was the best wrestler ever. What contrast that is. This is even stranger because if we are going to sink to that level, you can come up with anything. Have them feud over Edge calling Booker a fub nut or something. At least then there's a direct insult. And yes, I made that word up. It was fub nut. You can't get away from this now though because it well and truly happened. And I bet WWE would love if you forgot about it. Number 4, the lead up to and fallout from Mania 19. Admittedly, facing Triple H for the World Heavyweight title at WrestleMania 19 was a step in the right direction for Booker T. It wasn't the main event, but it was against the game and for championship gold. That's a position I think anyone would want to be in. Unfortunately, nearly all of this build was to depict Booker as a second-class citizen compared to Triple H, and the constant hints that WWE were making this a racist angle were difficult to say the least. It's an area no one needed to go in, and phrases like "you people" made you want to turn off your television. All of this may have been okay if Booker T had whooped Triple H's ass at the event to get his revenge, but that didn't happen either. Instead, Trips beat Booker clean as a whistle and that was that. Off the two went in different directions. It not only hurt Booker, but essentially told the audience he wasn't ready for the main event, even though he most definitely was. Number 3, WrestleMania 22. I could sum this up in one sentence really. At WrestleMania 22 in 2006, Booker T faced the Boogeyman. Already you know that could have only gone so far, and it's also where you start to realize that Booker's run at the Showcase of the Immortals wasn't as good as it should have been. Not counting his last one in 2007 where he competed for Money in the Bank, Booker worked that match with Edge at 18, was trampled by Triple H at 19, teamed with RVD in a Fatal 4-Way at 20, won a pre-show Battle Royal before Mania 21, and then had to contend with the bloody Boogeyman at 22. Come on now, this is Booker T! Should have got more. Technically, Booker's wife Sharmell was also involved in this last one, but even though WWE painted it as a handicap match, it was more 4 minutes of Booker throwing punches at Boogie before the worm-eating nightmare launched his comeback, kissed Sharmell, and finished off Booker. Number 2, the Kurt Angle storyline. I had actually forgotten about this recently and I swiftly remembered why I had when it came back into my head. It's just unbelievable. In 2005, however, we got a very exciting feud on paper when Booker T and Kurt Angle were put together. This was instantly great because they were both awesome workers, but the creative they were given was horrifying. Suddenly, Kurt became infatuated with Sharmell, stalked her, and famously said he wanted to have bestiality sex with her. What? This is the kind of thing WWE would never attempt today for obvious reasons. Seeing Angle stare down the lens of a camera backstage appeared to get off on his comments before calling Sharmell a gutter slut was something else. It was a step too far all round. In case you need more, Kurt also handcuffed Booker T's wife, pinned her in a sexual position, and genuinely acted like the biggest creep going. It was a different time, isn't a worthy excuse, because this was completely bad. Number 1, that Vince McMahon moment. The same year Kurt Angle did all this on TV, Booker was also subjected to Vince McMahon acting like an out-of-touch racist old man towards John Cena at the Survivor Series. Trying to act all hip around his WWE champion, McMahon encouraged Cena to keep it up, and then he dropped the N-word. That is not a joke either, he actually said that live on pay-per-view, and he did it in front of Booker T and Sharmell. It was a shocking moment made even more so by Booker's comedic response of, "Tell me he didn't just say that." Now really, it's not for me to say how this made anyone feel, and if the 5-time WCW champion was fine with it, so be it. It's still crazy though, and something WWE would definitely rather he didn't mention or remember in the modern day.
Hello there, you've made it all the way to the end of the video, and as part of my designated 18 hours of community service, I'm here to tell you that we have a number of other channels available for you to subscribe to, as well as other slightly, possibly not related videos for you to watch. So please do one of the things to my left or right, otherwise I have to pick up leaves on the roadside.